Hi, listeners, and welcome to today's episode of Show Me Your Hustle. Today, I am sitting down with Caleb. Caleb, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you're currently working on?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, Ashley, thank you for having me on today and excited to be here. My name is Caleb Paull. I'm based here in Orlando, Florida. Been here now for 5 years as of last month, which is really, really exciting. Or I should say last quarter, rather. And really, really excited to just continue to build relationships. I kind of see myself as a bridge builder, community builder, and somebody that helps to develop a sense of social belonging in a world that's craving authentic community and connections. And so part of how I do that is through my sales role as far as day to day, and then also through my coaching and speaking engagements and the opportunities to really equip professionals with all the tools that they need to effectively show up and build those relationships. So,
Awesome. Well, let's dive in. How'd you get here? Where'd you start, or what's your career path story?
absolutely. Well, I grew up in Massachusetts and started working at the young age of 15. And part of why I did that is because I come from a broken home. And I've learned that's a pretty common story in today's world, where I come from a parents that had 7 kids together, which is not unique, or that is very unique. The homeschooling, 7 kids, that's like a unique scenario in today's day and
Yeah.
age. But what's not so unique is the divorce and separation that kind of marked my upbringing. And so I started working at a young age because it was the best alternative to being at home in a very dysfunctional environment. And so I started working as many hours as I possibly could. As soon as it was legal, I was working full-time hours. And this was in food and beverage. And I soon learned that I loved working with people and just getting to know the regular faces and learning their orders. And then over time, I developed an interest in sales, which was largely in part to my mentor in high school, helping me over the years, kind of helping me understand that the same thing that I loved so much about customer service and working in the food industry could be applied to a career in sales and business. And so when in my early 20s, I got into sales and started
Love that.
learning more of the business professional white collar side of relationships. And then
Right.
since then, it's just been improving and finding new roles that primarily came from relationships and from networking.
Right.
I don't remember the last time that I applied for a job. I think it was 2018 or something like that was the last time that I actually needed to apply for a job. Everything after that has been through the relationships that I've built with friends and mentors and other business owners. So that's been part of my journey.
Well, I want to dive a little deeper into that as we're talking about networking and job applying and things like that. That's such a hot topic right now in this economy and really, leveraging your network. Do you have advice for job seekers and interviewees on finding that network in that next role?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it starts with asking yourself the question of, hey, what do I really love? What are the
Hmm.
things that are true to me and the things that light a fire within me? Because
Yeah.
if we start answering all these other questions, it's not even going to matter if it's
Right.
not true to you and it doesn't align with your personal passions and your core values as a person. Like scrape aside all the other issues and start at the very beginning by asking what actually ignites interest and passion within
Right.
me, and then begin to go out and find circles that are closely aligned with that and ask questions, right? Be a person in those
Right.
environments that's marked by curiosity and a genuine interest in other people in the room, as well as being honest and direct with people about what you actually need and what you're looking for, right? Like
Hmm.
sometimes in networking environments, we have this mentality of like, I don't know, I don't want to dive too quickly into why I'm really here or what I really need. My mentality
Right.
is if you're asking the right questions and you're in the right kinds of rooms, there's no need to delay your sense of honesty of, hey, this is why I'm here, right? So for me, when I go to events, I have a clear target audience. There's clear people that I want to meet, and I'm not afraid to tell people that, because if they're not
Right.
the right fit, maybe they know somebody or they're connected with somebody else in the room that would be a better use of my time, and then they can be a segue for that introduction. So for a
Right.
job seeker, it would be the same kind of approach of, hey, this is kind of the opportunities that I'm looking for, and I know that because I've thought about it and I'm self-aware, and
Right.
then being willing to ask, hey, is there anybody that you know that you think would be worth me talking to and connecting with?
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like we always start with the opposite of just like where, what's out there or what can I fit myself into, what can I mold versus getting clear on the front end and then just really having that story for yourself. So I love that you touch base on that. What are some, as you're coaching or things like that, what are some trends that you're seeing with interviewing or that you think people should really build a skill set around?
Yeah, I think the hot topic right now, and I'm saying this as Caleb, the guy who does speaking engagements and coaching and deals with
Yes.
a lot of professionals, but also now as I'm learning more about talent acquisition and optimization and
Yeah.
just how companies are hiring and building teams. The hot topic is culture, right? And there's lots of quotes and little things that are said about culture and the importance of it, and how, systems are great, processes are great, and they're very, very important. But at the end of the day, it's really about your people and the culture. That's what lasts. And so I think how you build that, it really comes out of a place of genuinely loving on and valuing your employees, whether that's 3 people or 3,000 people.
Right.
I just got done reading a book, The Five Love Languages, or The Five Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace, which was written by the same people who wrote The Five Love Languages, which is commonly referred to for personal
Right.
and romantic
Right.
relationships.
Right.
This is more about culture and how companies can really grow and thrive by properly understanding people on your team and the way they feel valued and appreciated in the workplace. And there's countless studies that have been done now with thousands upon hundreds of thousands of employees that say that compensation is not the number one reason why they leave a job or why they accept another position. Not just why they leave their current employer, but why they would go and accept another one. It's
Right.
for a better culture and because they don't feel appreciated and valued. So that's really the big thing that I'm locking onto right now and learning more about and studying through books and podcasts and other things is how can I contribute to that, that being
Building
done
culture.
in the workplace and creating that sense of culture.
Right. I luckily I feel like I've had two really good culture experiences, which is really set the bar high. I was with somewhere for 7.5 years, and I mean that's culture defines why someone stays that long. And currently, right now, I'm at a very early startup, and we have a motto of, we really hire for the person and not the role. You can always mold a role, you can't mold a culture fit. So, love that you touch base on that. In some books that are helpful. What other books have you found that are really impactful in leadership and hustle?
Yeah, I think one of the books that early on in my sales career, and again, with this idea of relationship building on a deep level, but also on a business level, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, right? It's a tried
Everyone
and
has
true,
read it. Yes.
yeah, it's like a tried and true classic book, but it's
Totally.
funny because I think in this day and age that we live, that's so technological, as well as that's so automated and digitalized in everything that we do, it's easy to lose sight of the principles within that book that remain the same decade after decade, century after century, because it comes down to our innate human desires and the human needs that we have to be seen, appreciated, noticed, acknowledged, and to treat others as if they're the most important thing in front of you. But beyond that is like this whole idea, and my company talks a lot about this, is not the golden rule of treating other people how you want to be treated. It's the platinum rule of treating other people how they want or need to be treated. Right. And so that's a really big shift in a lot of people's minds is, oh, I would want to be treated this way, so that's how I'm gonna treat this person. I'm gonna use words of affirmation or gifts or acts of service or these different things to properly showcase my appreciation and loyalty to somebody. But if that's not what they need, then it's kind of like you're butting heads and you're not helping to build the culture that you desire to build. So that's a big one. Other books that have really been intriguing to me lately, or authors, I should say, would be like Jordan Rayner. I've really loved his stuff. Been getting into Mel Robbins a lot more lately in her podcasts. Daniel Priestley just finished a book called, what was that book that I just finished by Daniel Priestley? Center of Influence, and what it means to be a person of influence in the marketplace. It was an incredibly powerful read. I would encourage anybody who is in a forward-facing role to really consider reading that book. I just finished it.
Awesome. One more fun question before we wrap up. What do you think is your personal competitive advantage? You talked a lot about being in sales roles and customer facing, and what have you learned that's made you successful in these roles?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the thing that I've learned the most over these past 12, 13 years since being in customer service, very forward-facing roles, is how to deal with people in person, which I've learned over the years is actually not that common of a skill when you talk about body language, professionalism, tonality,
Right.
all the different aspects of in-person networking. Those are some of the skills that I've been building and refining uh, for quite some time now, and building those muscles when it comes to social excellence is how I call it. And I'm continuing to learn all the time, even as somebody who's out and about frequently. I'm also observing and noticing certain patterns and trends as I observe other people's relationships and how they interact or communicate with one another. And I'm constantly learning the really on a micro level body language and certain words or phrases that are maybe more of a turnoff versus exciting and collaborative, open-minded words. And so I guess I've just been learning to be more and more intentional from a social intelligence and emotional intelligence standpoint. And definitely I'm on that train for hopefully many years to come, and helping other people to develop a sense of excellence in the way that they communicate and build relationships in person as opposed to through a screen.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that, post COVID and things like that, that's a muscle we kind of all lost. And I found myself even at a trade show last October and just been like, oh, it's been a minute since I've had to do this, for 9 hours, day after day, and just how quick your social battery drains now, as someone who works remote. So that's a muscle I'm constantly looking to get back to. So love that. Well, Caleb, thank you so much. This was really insightful. I love these just short knowledge dumps. Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I think the big thing that I would leave you with is just leading a life of intentionality and excellence, and something as simple as texting, it was something that I was thinking about coming into this call from a tools perspective that I've also been talking about in other podcasts and trainings,
Yeah.
is leveraging something as simple as your phone and texting, which everybody does on a daily basis, but we don't always use it for the obvious, not so obvious things of like, hey, I'm thinking about somebody and I'm gonna take 3 seconds to open up their contact and
Yeah.
let them know, hey, I'm thinking about you. I hope you have an amazing week, right? Hope you have a winning
Right.
week. Hope you have a blessed week. Hope you have an abundant week. I don't know, like little word tracks where it takes 5 seconds to open up your phone and send a text to somebody that you are thinking about. Because it's actually a
Right.
very common fear that we as humans have is, I wonder if people are thinking about me, but also I hope and I wonder if they're thinking well of me. It's not just
Yeah.
the fear or the wonder if people are thinking of me, if I'm on their mind, but it's, hey, I wonder if they're thinking well of me. So what better
Right.
way than to take a few moments out of your day to let somebody know that they were genuinely on your mind, and to brighten their day or their week. You never know what kind of impact that could have. So
Yeah.
I think that's, again, from a human relationship standpoint, is dialing it back to the simplicity of relationships, and understanding, hey, it doesn't always mean you have to, go out of your way and spend hours of coffee meetings and all these things. Sometimes it's the smallest, most seemingly insignificant task or action that could mean the most to somebody. So that's what I would leave you and leave the listeners with, is just those small little acts of intentionality.
I love that. What a great wrap up. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.